Hi, and welcome to my first video that isn't just a bunch of completely uncommented nonsense. Yeah, like that. Before we start, I want to clear up a few things. I'm not a professional game designer or game journalist. Everything I have to say is just my opinion. I haven't really engaged much with the more scientific side of game design yet, and there's a lot of professional lingo I'm not yet familiar with. Regardless, I think I have something to say that might be valuable to somebody. Just take it with a grain of salt, and let me know if I make any huge blunders. I'm still learning, okay? This is Symphony, and I love it. And today I'll try to explain why. Let's first get the boring basics out of the way. Symphony is a music-based shmup with procedurally generated levels. We'll get to what exactly that means later. It was released in 2012 by Empty Clip Studios from California and it's won awards and wait, what the fuck? What the fuck? Copyright 2012 Empty Clip Studios. All content on this page is strictly protected by the do whatever you want with it license. Henceforth, do whatever. If you choose not to do what you want, you're totally infringing. Our lawyers shoot first and don't even ask questions. I'm not even sure they're lawyers. This is starting to make me nervous. Hold on, there's someone at the door. Strange. I wasn't expecting anyone. I'll be right back. I love these people based on that alone. Normally, I'd get right to what makes the game remarkable, but surprisingly, Symphony has a story. So we'll start with the beginning of the game.
Music does not just happen by chance. It requires an intelligent soul. Music is a link to consciousness you cannot understand. It is what I need to enter your universe.
This is the unnamed entity that serves as Symphony's antagonist. Since the monologue didn't really tell us that much about what's actually going on, the game helpfully chimes in with tutorial text to explain the plot. Your music is under attack by the entity, and it's your job to liberate it, one song at a time. Simple and ludicrous, but that's okay. We're here for the shooting and the music anyway. The game explains that you can, in fact, use your own music. So after it scans your thousands of songs... Is that normal? Is that a normal number of songs to have? Lots of people probably have way more. After it scans your music library, you can just pick a song and the game starts proper. Well, after some explanations. But let's skip all that nonsense. So this is what Symphony plays like. Ah, stop, just let me play, damn it. This thing controls like a swimming buffalo. Hang on. Here we go. Much better. So anyway, it's pretty simple really. You are an orange glowy ship flying along with the music. Based on the song you picked, the game generates waves of enemies, also ships, that come to take your music and also kill the crap out of you. If you destroy one, they drop some notes. These are inspiration and they are the key to victory. In the top right corner you can see how much of it you have and how much you need to succeed. So kill enemies, collect inspiration. Completing a level nets you several rewards. First of all, you keep all inspiration you collected. which is a game currency. Depending on your performance, that is, the amount of inspiration you collected, you also get kudos, which is another game currency. Finally, every song you liberate also becomes a weapon you can use, like this useless piece of shit. You can then unlock these weapons for use by spending inspiration, but don't spend it on this one. After the first level, you can even pick a difficulty level. Enemies become tougher with higher difficulty levels, but you also earn more kudos, which is a pretty neat incentive, as we'll see. So you pick another song and you go destroy more music stealers and whatnot, and you get another weapon. Maybe this one doesn't suck. Like this rocket pack. Now that's a weapon. And a handful of songs later, this happens.
Here is one of my demons. It is harvesting your music soul. If you interfere, it will destroy you.
Yes, the demons. The entity claims to have taken control of 5 of the greatest composers from our world and turned them into demons. They randomly show up in one of your songs and will remain there until you complete that song. They tend to be a bit more challenging than the regular madness, mostly because there's not much inspiration around to get repairs if you end up getting hit. Destroying a demon though nets you enough inspiration to win the level. After the song is over, you get another monologue.
I have trapped the souls of your greatest composers. They now serve as my demons. I forced them to compose the Symphony of Souls. As long as the symphony is under my power, you cannot hurt me.
So that's your larger task. Defeat the demons and claim the Symphony of Souls. That's it. You play more songs, get more weapons, eventually you have enough kudos to upgrade your stuff. That's what kudos is for, incidentally. This is the main incentive to play on higher difficulty levels. Those yield more kudos, which means you can upgrade your weapons faster, which really makes things a lot easier on you. Eventually you run into the demon a second and third time. Each demon shows up 3 times and gets a little bit more dangerous every time. When you defeat a demon for the 3rd time, however, the composer is freed.
You breed a mere physical being. How could you affect me? Perhaps your universe is wiser than I thought.
With each page of the Symphony of Souls thus reclaimed, a new difficulty level is unlocked, which allows you to gain kudos even more quickly, provided you manage to complete songs despite the increased challenge. In addition to this, new enemy types are added, which make the game more challenging as well. And that's basically how the game goes. You liberate songs, pony up inspiration, kudos and weapons, upgrade the weapons you like, run into demons, defeat them, and eventually you win. I'm not gonna show you exactly what happens when you win, partially because I want to keep the suspense, but mostly because I don't feel like completing all the stuff again just for this video. Now that we're all on the same page and know how the game works, let's get to the meat of the thing. Now, Symphony obviously isn't perfect, so let's get some criticism out of the way. The tutorials are, for the most part, kinda unremarkable and boring. They get the job of explaining how the game works done alright, but they're nothing to write home about. The tutorials that explain the plot are a bit garbage, as that's not very elegant. But since the story isn't really a focus, it's forgivable. Doesn't really matter. What does matter is that the tutorial texts in the middle of the early levels are damn aggravating. They take you right out of the game and interrupt the music, so your groove is off as well. That's pretty damning. It's a little uncomfortable that the game refers to 5 of the greatest composers of our world. And it's Stravinsky, Tchaikovsky, Mozart, Bach and Beethoven. Notice something about this list? They're all men. White men too. Just kinda iffy, I think. The majority of people in our world are not white men, so I tend to be pretty skeptical of any list that has nothing to do with race or gender but is disproportionately dominated by white men like this. If you're considering writing an angry comment about how I'm a stupid SJW and this is reverse racism or whatever, please consider, don't, and also grow up. The bosses, while interesting and fun, show a lot of missed potential. There are 2 major problems with them. Problem A. They happen randomly on random songs. This isn't really optimal, as a boss fight should go with some intense, epic, boss-worthy music, don't you think? The way it is right now, you might pick a mellow song for a relaxing round and run into a demon. Fighting demons to chill-out music is pretty silly. I think the game would be improved by letting you know a demon is about to attack ahead of time, so you can pick some appropriate music. Problem B. The bosses usually only take a minute or so to defeat, which in most cases leaves a lot of the song boss-free. A boss should be a significant challenge, and defeating it should be a rush of excitement and relief. As it is now, the boss dies and you still have to look out not to get killed. I'm not really sure myself how best to fix this problem. Bosses would obviously have to be a bit more involved and interesting to last you an entire song. Clearly, a health bar cannot be the deciding factor for victory over a boss if it needs to last the entire song. Otherwise, you're cutting the song off early, and that's anticlimactic as well. Perhaps fighting a demon should be more about survival. If the demon fight also involves things you can shoot to avoid dying, like turrets placed by the demon or slow shootable homing rockets or the like, that's all the better. The boss could be breaking down as the song continues and break up as it ends. Something along those lines, I think, would serve them a lot better. I love the theming. Difficulty settings are labeled in dynamics, from pianissimo to fortissimo. The currencies are inspiration and kudos. There are weapons like the crescendo, and rare weapons are called furia. Add to that the neat musical stings you get for unlocking and upgrading weapons, as well as reclaiming parts of the Symphony of Souls, and I mean, it's a minor thing, but I love it. If anything, I'd say they could have gone even further. I would have liked if the weapons all had names like these. Staccato for the Mega Blaster perhaps, Sforzando for the shotgun, Scherzo for the subwoofer. Music buffs will get it. So will Italians, probably. And anyone with a computer that can internet and Google. I know next to nothing about music, I'm sorry. I also love the musical notes everywhere, from the in-game representation of inspiration to the colorful explosions. It just makes sense, you know? These are the little things that help an already great game really stick out in your memory, I feel. This is really the major selling point of the game. Liberate your music. Not just anybody's music, yours. And this is really super important. Since Symphony is all about music, it's vital for the game that the player likes the music. In other games, a great soundtrack can elevate something good to freaking amazing, and something bad to tolerable. Games like Symphony, Audiosurf, Crypt of the Necrodancer and the like stand and fall with the player's enjoyment of the music played. The procedural generation approach allows gameplay to be tailored to music that developers don't even know. In case you're not familiar with the term procedural generation, I'll explain it real quick. Traditionally, game assets, that's game objects, models, scripts, levels, graphics, etc., are designed and created by designers, developers, and the various other people who work on a game. These assets are all made before the game's released, or patched in later, but the key point here is that they are made by people before the game is actually run by the player. Procedural generation is an alternate way of creating game content. Certain assets are not created by people ahead of time. Instead, developers write a procedural generation algorithm to put in the game. This algorithm then creates new game assets while the player plays the game. Examples for this are the nigh endless worlds of Minecraft, weapons in the Borderlands series, and memorable orc nemesis in Shadow of Mordor. Some games are almost entirely procedurally generated. See the Games of Strange Think for this. My personal favorite is Joy Exhibition, in which you create abstract art with procedurally generated tools. Check them out, I'll put a link in the description. Symphony procedurally generates levels based on the song you're playing. Essentially, this means it analyzes the music using a probably very complicated algorithm using Fourier transforms and whatnot, and then mixes up enemy types to create a sequence of waves of enemies. It tries to match enemies entering the combat area on beat, which works well enough and really makes the music that much more impactful. What really makes the gameplay connect with the music though is the intensity mechanic. Audiosurf had this too, and it worked great there as well. The algorithm evaluates the intensity of different parts of the song based on things like volume and, I assume, beat length and the busyness of the music. It is then normalized to make sure that all three intensity levels are present in a level, if at all possible. On low intensity, enemies move slowly and usually don't spawn as fast. On high intensity, the game can get unbelievably frantic. Enemies come in fast, zip across the screen at insane speeds and fire just completely impossible amounts of those goddamn red ball thingies! Yeah, those kill you in one hit. Fucking hell. The normalization also works well, most of the time. Sometimes you will play a song that's generally pretty relaxed and the high intensity parts will clash with that. But most of the time, especially when you play songs that have a high range of intensity, the normalization will make sure you get a good mix of intensity levels. The evaluation is really pretty good. Intense parts of the song are challenging, frantic fun, and the mellow parts let you take a breather before all hell breaks loose once again. This obviously works best if you choose a difficulty setting that matches your skills and the level of your weaponry. I've spoken about theme before, and here it comes up again. The fact that the game turns every song you liberate into a weapon is brilliant on this level as well. Literally, your best weapon against this foe is your own music. I cannot overstate how much I love this. I wish they would make the song a weapon came from visible in the customization menu. Make it more present to you as you play that you are currently shooting interdimensional invaders with Rammstein's Pussy. That's the song named Pussy by the German band Rammstein, by the way. Could have picked a better example. Let's do it over again. The game could have highlighted that you're currently shooting interdimensional invaders with Aerions Everybody Dies. Shit, that's too obscure, isn't it? TikTok by Kesha. Nailed it. What's your favorite song? You might get lucky and it turns into a great weapon. Maybe even a Fourier, which you can then use forever. If you're anything like me, you'll appreciate games that make you feel like you're not wasting your time. For many of us, there's this uncomfortable thought in the back of our minds that even when we're having fun with a game, we need something more to justify spending time on it. This is obviously nonsense if you look at it rationally. If a game is fun, if you're having fun playing, it's doing its job and it has value. Time spent enjoying yourself, unwinding from your stressful life, should not be considered wasted. But sometimes it still feels like, despite having fun, your time is not well spent. One game design element that can really help with this is in-game progression. Not every game has it, not every game needs it, or would really benefit from it. But lots and lots of games have some form of in-game progression. With examples like the resource gathering and slow movement from punching trees for wood to mining obsidian with diamond pickaxes in Minecraft, RPG leveling systems, and the grindy collection of guns and armor with just slightly higher light level in Destiny, progression systems are diverse in nature and quality. But they essentially all do the same thing. They reward the player for spending time playing. Holding the left mouse button in almost total darkness for minutes on end is really relaxing. But it also feels like pointless busy work, which makes you think you could do something better with your time. However, the minerals you find doing it allow you to craft better tools. You can use the stone you get to build a house or a tower, or even a town. And if you find the right combination of stuff, you can make even more amazing things. Playing the same levels in Destiny over and over gets pretty tedious, honestly. But the chance at a better gun keeps you doing it. Progression systems are good at giving you an excuse to do things that are fun or otherwise rewarding in and of themselves. But they're also really good at keeping you doing things you don't actually enjoy. And they can be frighteningly effective. Symphony's progression system is an example of the former, that is, giving you an excuse to do something that is enjoyable and good for you. Personally, I can't really just listen to music. I'm almost always constantly listening to some music, but I never do it exclusively, unless I'm on the train and not reading or playing a handheld game. Symphony lets me actively engage with the music I already love. This is of course a good thing, because some music really deserves to be listened to attentively, which I normally wouldn't have the patience for. It really helps that during play, I have in the back of my mind the knowledge that playing this song doesn't just mean I get to shoot stuff while listening to great music, but I'm also working towards rewards that will make the game more fun. First is story progression. As you play, you will get closer to the end of the story. Every now and then you get to fight a cool boss and learn more about the entity that's attacking your music. Story progression also unlocks higher difficulty ratings, which make the game more challenging but also play into the second reward type, currency. Playing will reward you with inspiration, playing difficult stuff well rewards you with kudos. These play into the third type of reward, which is weapons. As I mentioned, each song you complete becomes a weapon. You can unlock these by spending currency and then upgrade them with kudos. Upgrading your weapons is the key to managing higher difficulty settings and getting more kudos to upgrade your weapons more. However, there aren't that many weapons in the game. Enough for variety, but you'll play so many songs that you'll soon have every weapon there is at your disposal, and eventually you will have 4 of each kind, which means you can outfit your ship with nothing but that weapon if you like. And then, quite some time after that, you may have fully upgraded everything too. After that, what's left? This is where Furia weapons come in. Furia weapons are just better and cooler looking than regular weapons, and they are rare. Whether a song produces a Furia is random, but it extends the progression by a freaking mile. Getting a Furia of every weapon type will take long enough to justify playing all the damn music you have. And getting 4 Furias of every type is so outlandishly unlikely that you can play Symphony your entire life and never be done. Which is a good thing in this case. Now, I don't want to praise this too highly. Honestly, once you're at the stage where only Furias matter, getting stuff you don't need over and over again can also be a bit frustrating. Furia drops are just a bit too rare to carry shorter play sessions. So you'll play 3 songs and have a blast doing it, but if none of those songs drop the Furia, it feels like you wasted your time again. It's not perfect, but it's still really, really good. I just love meaningful customization systems. I could ramble about them for hours, but I've already rambled enough, so I'll restrict myself to just talking about Symphony's customization. I must really say, Symphony's ship customization is amazingly powerful and fun for how simple it really is. Your ship has 4 weapon slots simply lined up next to each other. You can stick a weapon in each slot, and every weapon simply emits deadly particles in a pattern unique to that weapon. You can map each weapon separately to a fire button, you can set them to fire on press, or toggle fire, or just set them to firing constantly, which is what I usually do for most of my weapons really. Finally, each slot can be angled in a number of directions based on the slot, so you can literally fire your weapons backwards. But you have to decide where to angle your weapons before you start the level, because you can't change the firing angles during a song. You can combine any 4 weapons you have and angle them all in different directions, which doesn't sound like much, but the variety is staggering in practice. You can, for example, just fill everything with double cannons and angle them in a way that you're constantly firing in all directions. This obviously changes the way you're gonna play. It works best when you're completely surrounded, and you will naturally feel drawn to the center of the screen. You'll run into problems though when tougher enemies show up, because spreading your firepower out like this will make it hard to stack up damage on those. You can also use 4 Mega Blasters and angle them to bundle their firepower in one spot in front of your ship. This will make dealing with tough enemies a breeze, but you'll have to be careful about positioning when the large amounts of weaker enemies show up. You'll be drawn to the bottom of the screen and you'll be in serious trouble if enemies show up so far down on the screen that you can't get under them. An especially interesting way to play, I found, is angling 2 double cannons to the sides of your ship. This bundles their firepower in 2 directions, which is incredibly useful against the smaller enemies that come in droves, and still leaves you well equipped to handle tough enemies, so long as you can pull up beside them. Finally, you can also put subwoofers everywhere, if you hate yourself. All these options serve to keep the game fresh for a long time, and I absolutely adore it. Think about it, just 4 slots invariably, stocked with one of a handful of weapons each, and customizable angles, that's it. But it still lets you build some pretty crazy stuff. Simple elegance. Wow, did I write this? That's so damn pretentious. But I mean it. Every word. So, what can we learn from Symphony? Well, a few things. We learned that meaningfully incorporating the player's music makes the game immediately engaging, while also broadening the player base, because the player's taste in music doesn't need to match the developers, or exist at all. Theming is important in a game as abstract as this. Tying the game together with a theme keeps it from feeling generic and bland. Symphony does this with some success, but there's room for improvement here. We learned that a game doesn't need to be complex or deep to be incredibly engaging and fun. Sometimes simplicity is the way to go. Finally, we learned to pick better names for our video games. Trying to find this game by its name is unnecessarily difficult, because there's a far more well-known game called Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I just wanted to find out where the damn save games are located so I could back them up to start a new game for this video. It was really needlessly complicated because the name is so, well, unremarkable, fitting though it may be. It's a shame because the game itself is remarkable. It's a little indie gem and one of those games I always eventually come back to. Thanks for watching, I really appreciate you hanging in there for this. I'm obviously very new to video production, so I'm really interested in your feedback. Please leave any criticism you have in the comments, and you can really criticize anything, like the technical stuff like sound or video quality, or my inflection and comedic timing or whatever. Also, if anything in the video made you uncomfortable or offend you in some way, please let me know about that too. I'd love this channel to be a comfortable place for anyone. Well, except for actual Nazis, perhaps. If commenting about something is too public for you, you can also send me a private message. I'll try to stay on top of everything. Thanks again for watching. Have a nice day.